Hey guys, how's it going? Gaffer here. I'm just going to be playing some The Long Dark here right now. I just wanted to show you what to expect from the start of this game, what to kind of look for, how to get yourself going without getting your ass kicked immediately. I'm going to drop in Stalker because, you know, why not? And I'm going to pop into Coastal Highway just because I want to find a few houses early on, so I can show you the kind of stuff that you want to be doing straight away. Select slot name. Wacky video. Start. Okay, so this is a survival game. If you've not heard of The Long Dark, it is basically you kind of crash in the Canadian wilderness and you have to survive for as long as possible. It's only a oh crikey, there's a lot of wolves. Yeah, it's an early access sandbox game at the moment. They're bringing out the story soon, but as it stands, it's a sandbox experience, so you just have to stay alive for as long as possible. So basically, yeah, I'm just going to show you a couple of things you want to look for as soon as you start a game. So I've spawned right in the middle of the lake in Coastal Highway here. I'm pretty sure there's a house over here, so I want to head for it. And generally, that's the first thing you want to be doing, is heading for a house, getting some shelter, getting your bearings, and basically trying to pick up as much equipment as possible. So I'm going to grab a couple of sticks here just in case I do want or need to start a fire. One of the issues you're going to have to overcome when you start is the fact that you're going to be wearing pretty mediocre clothes for the climate. Considering it's like, what, -25 and it's windy out here, and I think I'm wearing basically just a jumper. But once I get into this house, I'll show you some of the equipment I'm carrying and what's good, what's not, that kind of stuff. We're just going to jump straight into this house here though. You can see everything okay because it is quite dark at the moment, and in fact that's quite annoying. What I'll do is I'll sleep. That's literally first thing at night. So I'm going to put myself in a bit of a dodgy position here because I'm going to sleep for a long time. I'm going to be quite thirsty and that kind of thing, but I'll show you some ways you can get out of those issues. Okay, there we go. We can see better now. Right, so very parched, quite peckish, but at least I'm warm and rested. So we got some wool socks. Now wool socks.
No, nothing to drink.
Wool socks are better than cotton socks, which you tend to start off with. In fact, I'm full of shit. You start off with wool socks. These are better condition though, so it's better to wear those ones. You'll find one thing to bear in mind with clothing is its warmth bonus drops according to its, you know, its quality percentage. So if it's at 50%, you're going to get half the amount of clothing warmth bonus and wind chill bonus from a piece of clothing. So it's something to bear in mind. Okay, I'm thirsty, so as I'm in a house, I can take the water out of the toilet. So I'm just going to grab all of that. Generally, what I'd say is carry about 2 liters of water with you most times. That gives you enough. Now, as I'm in a house, also, I just want to be grabbing pretty much everything because I don't have anything to start off with. So medicine's always useful. Water purification tablets. Bear in mind you can shred towels and that sort of stuff for cloth. Now cloth is useful for a couple of reasons. One is you can use cloth. You can use cloth for repairing. It's going to drop on the floor, isn't it? That's how it works. You can use cloth for repairing your clothes, but you need a sewing kit, and also you can use the cloth to make bandages. So if you click on actions over there, so you click on the cloth, click on actions, and then you can harvest it for 2 bandages. Seems a pretty staple of most games these days, so you can just make cloth into bandages, and it's all hunky-dory. I'm going to drink some of this water because my character is thirsty. There we go. Okay, that's made me slaked. And I can eat this candy bar that I've started off with, just to get a few extra calories in me. Anytime you find clothes that you don't need, and I do want that hat, so I'm going to wear that, you can harvest it. So you can harvest this for cured leather, and you can use that for repairing your other clothes to bring their condition up, and that's just going to increase your overall warmth bonus from your clothes. So I'm just going to check everything here. So yeah, one of the first things you want to be doing is just finding as many clothes as possible, and you just want to get that clothing bonuses up just to make you feel a bit warmer. It just means you're going to be able to travel further. It means you're going to be warming up quicker when you're indoors. It's generally just going to make the game easier for you. So yeah, the man-made kind of processed food is a lot more calorie dense for its weight, so it's a lot more useful. Whilst we're looking around, I'll just mention you can harvest different things in the wilderness. So rose hips here are painkillers. You make a tea from them. You can get old man beard lichen from the trees, which you can use as an antiseptic, which you kind of weave into the bandages. So you get like an antiseptic bandage. So it's useful to grab that, although you do have to get to a workbench to make the special bandages, which doesn't really make any sense, but still. Catching rabbits, you can make snares, but you need cured gut and reclaimed wood. So this is the old man beard lichen. So grab some of this. You need 3 pieces to make a proper bandage, so make sure you get at least 3 of it. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab a few sticks and I'm going to make a fire in one of these fishing huts, just to show you the process of making fire as well. Now, when you first start the game, your character's fire building is fairly low, so you have to use specific materials really if you want a good chance of making a fire. So I'm going to head over here. It's going to be easier to make the fire in here as well because it's indoors, and there's no issue with wind going to blow it out. Wind does play a big part in making fires outside. You need to find shelter, otherwise you can't make a fire. So let's check what we have in here. Make sure you check everything. This is definitely an exploration, searching kind of game, so you want to check everything. If you've played Fallout 4, it's very similar in that kind of aspect. So tinder plugs are the best things to use. They're not any better in terms of chance of success, but they are more efficient. Okay, so the book is very good to start a fire with. So I'm going to try starting a fire here. So I don't know if you noticed that the chance of success was 20% higher with the book over the stick. And the stick is quite a good source of fuel to start a fire with. So I just learned something just then. So I don't know if you noticed there, my fire making skill went up. It starts at 50. So you get like a base percentage of 50%. And it goes up to 100. So you can pretty much start a fire with anything. So yeah, I made the fire, dumped in a bunch of extra fuel, and that's just going to raise the temperature output. Now you can cook food to increase your warmth, so I'm just going to have a quick check. Yeah, okay, I'm still getting cold here. So what I'd say is I could cook some food here. I'm going to do Pinnacle Peaches. Now, I don't have a can opener yet, so I'm going to have to smash the can open. And I'm going to lose some of the calories from that as I drop some of the food. So I lost 20% of it, but that's okay. I just need the extra warmth here.
Can't feel my hands.
Ugh, I can't feel my hands. So I'm going to eat that. Now it is open and warm. So you see that popped up my my temperature a bit. Not a great deal, but it helps. Okay, so I'm going to make a move anyway because that fire is not hot enough for me. Now, as I'm cold and I'm not tired, sprinting is a good option here. So generally when you're playing the game, it's about micromanaging your stats, and sprinting fatigues you quite quickly, but sometimes it's worthwhile. So I'm going to reduce the time that I'm stuck outside by sprinting over here now. The clothing you're wearing does seem to have an effect on how much damage you take from a wolf, so seeing as I'm wearing pretty basic clothing, I definitely want to keep away from the wolves. Ways to keep the wolves away from you is lighting a flare. Yep, you start off with a flare. Press number 1 to bring the flare out. Yeah, 1 brings out your lighting sources. So now I have a storm lantern. I can switch between those and the matches. 2 brings out a weapon if you have a weapon, but you don't start off with a weapon, and I don't have one yet. Okay, let's see how that... Search everything. Search under the beds. Sometimes find stuff. Search on top of the beds or the shelves. Oh, and by the way, press H to hide anything that you're holding in your hand. Okay, so I found a pry bar. Now you can use the pry bar to break open locked lockers, that kind of thing. And the trunks of cars. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Because I'm freezing cold, best thing for me to do right now is to get a few hours sleep, because you get a warmth bonus from being in the beds. And that's put me back up to full warmth, so I keep moving without killing myself. So I want to be finding some more houses. I really want to be searching and finding as much equipment as possible. And this really is the early game, is finding houses and finding as much equipment as possible, because you're not going to be able to fight anything yet. You're just going to want to be picking up, scavenging basically. Okay, so I found a car here. So you can jump in the car, grab everything from here. Got a single rifle round. Check the glove box. You can check behind the visors for anything. And you can... Don't forget to check the back doors as well, if there's anything in the back seats. And check the trunk. Now you see the trunk was locked there, but I'm forcing it open with the pry bar I found. Generally, things that you have to pry open tend to have better loot in them. Okay, cool. So we found another house here. Fire log. Fire log burns for a long time. Doesn't give out much heat though. Fir firewood. Fir firewood burns for a long time, gives out a lot of heat. Good firewood, but it's quite hard to get lit. So you want to light a fire with something else. Okay, couple of quick things to mention. You can make tinder from sticks. So another one to harvest here. You can harvest a stick into a tinder plug. One thing I forgot to mention is, yeah, when you're starting a fire, you need a source of tinder, a source of fuel, and a fire lighter. So a fire lighter can be a match or a magnifying glass or a fire strike or anything like that. Tinder is a tinder plug, paper, that kind of thing. Generally use tinder plugs because you can make pretty much any form of other tinder into a tinder plug, and you tend to get several tinder plugs from another source. So, like for example, I was showing you the newsprint roll. So one of these newsprint rolls will start a fire. Or if you harvest it, you get 4 tinder plugs. So you can start 4 fires instead of 1, which is much more efficient, obviously. So definitely break down any sort of tinder sources into tinder plugs. It's just far more efficient. Okay, so the gas station I'm in here, very good source of everything, really. You've got food. There's fire barrels in here, so you can set fires indoors. And we've got workbenches. Now, workbenches are useful for making more advanced stuff. So, like I was showing you earlier, I got the old man's beard lichen, and I can mix that with the bandage to make the antiseptic bandages, which means I don't have to apply antiseptic at the same time. And antiseptic is quite heavy to carry around, so it's more useful having those bandages. What else can I make? Doesn't look like I can make anything else at the moment, but you can see there's a whole handful of sort of blueprints of different things you can make here. So have a look through, have a look and see what you need to make the various things, and keep a lookout for them in the wilderness. Okay, so good finds. I found a knife and a hatchet in those drawers. Now, having the knife and the hatchet is going to make you more useful if you get into a fight with a wolf. It means you're going to do more damage basically to them, and it means that they're quite likely to bleed out and die after the fight that they have with you, assuming that you don't die first. So yeah, very useful to get the knife and hatchet, and they're two tools that you're going to keep on you pretty much indefinitely throughout the game. Okay, so the hacksaw. The hacksaw can be used for prying open certain containers that you'll find in Timberwolf Mountain. It can also be used for taking meat off of frozen corpses. The hatchet can be used for the same thing, but generally the hacksaw is used for less stuff. The hacksaw, also its other main use is for breaking down metal containers into scrap metal, and scrap metal can be used for making equipment in Desolation Point, if you happen to go there. So yeah, like I was saying about the light sources, you can light a match just to give you a brief moment of lighting. Can be handy in a pinch. Generally, it's better to use the other light sources though. I mean, the flare is generally used for scaring off wolves, and but the storm lantern. The storm lantern gives off a good amount of light. So yeah, in a pinch you can use a match, but try to use the storm lantern as much as possible. Now you can place the storm lantern whilst it's still lit by right clicking and then left clicking to place it, but it's generally a bit of a waste of gas to keep it lit if you're not actually using it. A quick look over the stat system. Your most important stat is your condition. So 100% is good, 0% means dead. Generally your condition will only go up when you sleep, and when I say generally I mean that's the only time it's going to go up, when you sleep. It's going to go down if any of your stats reach 0, and it's going to go down obviously when you're in a fight with a wolf or if you fall too far or anything like that. It's basically your health. So yeah, anytime any of your stats reach 0, anytime you're in a fight, it's gonna start dropping off, and if it hits 0 then you're toast. But if you sleep when your stats are good, then you're going to get your condition back up. So, handling wolves. Best way to handle a wolf is to light a flare. Whilst the flare is lit, you're going to find that the wolf will stop in front of you and he won't attack. When he's in this kind of like standoffish mode, if you right click to throw the flare at him, it's going to scare him off. So that's the best way to basically stay out of a fight with a wolf, is to throw a flare at him. You can also do that with a torch. You don't throw the torch, but you kind of swing the torch around. Easiest way to make a torch is to start a fire, put enough fuel in, and then you can take a torch out, and then you can extinguish the torch to light at a more useful time. But yeah, this is one of the best ways to handle wolves. Alternatively, if you're in a place like I am now, if a wolf attacks you and you don't have any flares, best thing to do is just sprint towards a door and get inside as soon as possible. Once you're indoors, you can sleep for an hour or two, and you'll find that the wolf should have cleared off by that point. One quick final tip is gathering wood. You want to break down a cedar limb with a hatchet. You're going to get 3 wood and you're going to get a tinder plug. So that's basically the perfect layout for starting an early fire. So yeah, firelighter, tinder source, and a fuel. Now, as you can see, I've got a 66% chance. You can use an accelerant to give you a 100% chance, and that's going to increase your fire building skills. So sometimes early on, it's quite useful just to start with using the accelerants. So yes guys, I hope that gives you kind of like a basic understanding of how to get started in the Long Dark. I mean, most of this you'll probably figure out just from playing the game anyway, but I figured I'd just give you a quick outline for anyone who's interested in starting up with the game. It's a really cool game. I really wholeheartedly recommend playing this game. It's really fun. It's the most sort of immersive survival game I've played. So yeah, give it a bash. I hope this helps. If it does, feel free to leave a comment. Just say if you've got any criticisms, etc, etc, etc. Feel free to follow me on Twitch as well. I stream this game quite often on Twitch. And yeah, I'll see you around, guys. Goodbye.